Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to do, I guess like a mini review on a stem cell regenerative alternative medicine clinic that I had a consult with recently. So I do plan on doing reviews of the other clinics that I had consults with back in 2021. I didn't want to do them because I actually have not received treatment from any of these clinics, but at least, you know, I want to discuss the consult process, also what my research, because you do have to kind of research these clinics. You'd be surprised at the things that you will find when you actually start looking into them. But I do think that it's important, especially when things don't go well. I think it's important for us to speak out because a lot of these clinics, they do a lot of crazy stuff. So, all right. So this clinic is a relatively new clinic. This is actually my most recent consult. And the clinic is called Alternative Medicine by Bars. So this gentleman, Dr. Bars, he was a doctor at another clinic that I have also had a consult with and that I'm considering for treatment. And he left. So this clinic has not even been open for a year. His specialty is cancer, alternative cancer treatment, and endocrinology. I don't know how to pronounce that. So I guess like hormone balancing and stuff like that. At the other clinic that he was at, which I may do a separate review later, they do all types of treatments. They do treatments for Lyme, treatments for COVID, post-COVID, treatments for autoimmune illnesses, cancer, everything. So they do all sorts of treatments. And I know that his specialty is alternative cancer treatment. But now at his clinic, he also says that he specializes in autoimmune, Lyme disease, cancer, hormones, things like that. So he's basically saying, I still do the same thing. The reviews for this man, Dr. Bars, are out of this world. They were really good at the other clinic that he was with, and he's got almost 100 reviews at this new clinic that hasn't even been open for a year, and they're all 5-star. I mean, 5-star across the board. So obviously that's kind of suspicious. I did look through the reviews, and I do think that a lot of them are family and friends, colleagues of his. He's Brazilian, so a lot of the people are like, oh, I'm from Brazil, and I'm from Brazil, and I'm like, okay, so these are probably people that he knows personally. So please watch out for that when you look at Google reviews, Google or Yelp or whatever, but especially Google reviews, because I think anybody can leave a Google review. So I had my consult this past Tuesday. I spoke about the consult in another video. I talked about it a little bit in my video explaining what I think happened with my exosomes treatment, because this doctor, Dr. Bars, helped me quite a bit to understand. He kind of validated what I had already previously thought had happened. So, they actually did not ask me for any of my blood work or anything, but I told them, I said, should I just send it to you anyways? And they're like, yeah, if you have recent stuff, go ahead and send it to us. But they actually had not requested anything from me. There was a little bit of runaround. I once I was able to contact them through WhatsApp, I would say that that's probably the best way to contact them. You can't get through to their phones. I don't know. A lot of these clinics in Mexico, these two most recent clinics that I've done a consult with have been really kind of disorganized, or something's going on with their internet. I don't know. But finally we got through on WhatsApp, and they set me up for a video consult. And so I was like, okay, cool. And they gave me an appointment time. We were supposed to do it through like Google Meet or something. And I was like, okay, cool. That's great. It was a little bit of back and forth, but not too bad. And I you kind of have to be understanding, because you're in a different country and they're trying to do this video thing. I think there's only a 1-hour time difference. But again, internet service is different in other countries. So you kind of just have to, work things out. So Tuesday rolls around, and my appointment was at 2 p.m. their time, which is 1 p.m. my time. It took us about an hour to connect. We were just going back and forth, back and forth. I was messaging them through WhatsApp. They were messaging me. They're just like, "Are you there?" I was like, I'm in there, but it's not allowing me. Like, you guys are not allowing me into the meeting." And they're just like, oh, "Okay, okay." So after an hour, they just decided to do a video thing through WhatsApp. So keep in mind, I don't think that's probably the most secure way to do these things. So you know, I was just like, whatever, let's just do this. I felt that the consultation went well. There's two doctors, Dr. Bars and Dr. Yael. Dr. Yael is very young. She looks probably like she's younger than me, but they're kind of like a team, right? Dr. Bars is probably in his 70s, maybe early 70s, but he's definitely an older gentleman. So he kind of sat there for like 15 minutes, just going through my blood work without, just perusing it, going through everything. Even though I had been told through WhatsApp, they had messaged me and they're like, "Oh, he's going through your stuff right now. He's like going through your paperwork." So he had not reviewed anything prior to the consult. That should have been the first red flag, right? That this guy was at the last minute going through everything and just going through everything with me there. I kind of felt that that was a bit rude, and he did kind of have a little bit of a brash manner, but I was like, whatever. He can, I don't know how busy he is. I'm not going to judge it. That they were kind enough to do this video meet with me. So after about like 15 minutes of that, then he started talking to me and kind of going through, "Oh, do you know why your cholesterol is high?" And I was like, "Is that a rhetorical question?" And I would tell him, "Oh, I think this is why it's high." I did tell him what happened with the exosomes. He explained that to me as well. So he's known, what it seems like he's known for is being able to analyze blood work really, really well. And he went through everything. He's like, "Your vitamin D needs to be higher than this, much higher than this. These other things need to be higher, your testosterone." He does hone in on hormones, and he talked a lot about hormones. He's like, "Your cholesterol, has to do this in order to convert to hormones, or your hormones need cholesterol, and that's probably why your cholesterol is high, and this and that." So he did hone in on that. He explained to me the exosomes thing, which is in that other video of what I think happened with the exosomes. And he did say, you need to, prepare yourself, but like soil, you need to prepare the soil in order to receive these other types of therapies. So I explained it in more detail in that other video. So he did validate, I felt like we were on the same page, and there were some things that he was saying, that really hit home with me, that I really felt, he understood what was going on with the situation. And then he said something like, because I didn't send a page of blood work. I sent like pages and pages, because I've had a lot of blood work done over the last year because of the exosome situation. So he had a lot to go off of. And he was going through it, and he was looking at everything. And then he was like, "None of this is really going to help me." He says, "I'm going to have to order my own blood work," which I totally understand. Doctors always want to have their own blood work. And so I was like, of course, that's fine. And he said, "You can get it done over there if you want, and then just send it to me as soon as possible. That way I can give you a treatment protocol." That part I thought was a little weird because, in the US, you can't just go to a doctor and say, "I want this blood work done," right? Because they're going to go through, they have to have a reason why they need to do it in order to get your insurance to cover it, or else you have to pay out of pocket here, just like I would have to do in Mexico. So I thought that was kind of odd, and that stressed me out a little bit, because I was like, now I have to do the blood work here before he can give me a protocol. I had already had a consult with the other clinic that he used to work at, and they sent me a protocol. They actually sent me 2 different protocols, based on whatever blood work and stuff I had sent them. Their doctor looked through it and then came up with a protocol, a treatment protocol. And they gave me how many days it would take. They said it is subject to change once you get here, because obviously we're going to run more blood work and then see where you are currently at. So I understand that. For him to say, like, see if you can get this blood work done over there, that way I can give you a protocol over here. I was like, okay, this is just going to continue to delay the process, because by the time I get an appointment with the doctor, by the time they tell me, no, I'm not going to run this blood work, months are going to pass. So that was kind of the second red flag right there. I was like, this is a little bit strange, you know? But I had a lot of faith because this man has glowing, glowing, glowing reviews. So I was like, okay, I felt that the consult, and the other doctor was like off screen. She was there in the room, but she was off screen and she didn't say anything. It was just Dr. Bars basically talking. And he asked me, he said, what do you want me to do? What is, what are you asking me to do? Which I thought was also kind of weird. He asked me if I had tried plasmapheresis, which was one of the treatments that I was interested in, which he does perform there at his clinic. And I said, no. I said, that's one of the treatments. And it's also an approved treatment for stiff person syndrome. So I was like, I'm interested in that. Then he kind of backtracks and goes like, well, it's not just that. It's not, it seemed like he was kind of backtracking, like, we're not going to do just that, or I don't know. It was a little bit, there were some little things here and there that I just didn't really notice because I felt that the consult had gone really well. There were some things that I felt we were just on the same page with, like he's thinking the same thing I'm thinking. He spent about an hour with me, which was really nice because it had been delayed already an hour, and he still spent the time with me. He wasn't mean or anything. Like I said, he kind of had like a brash type of, demeanor. The other doctor seemed nice, even though I didn't really talk to her much. And I was like, well, that went well. And so that he said, we'll send you the blood requisition form, after this appointment, because he was taking notes and he was writing things down. He even showed me the form on the video, and I was like, okay, so after the appointment, they'll send it to me. That was Tuesday. Tuesday passes, nothing. Wednesday passes, nothing. Thursday passes, nothing. So I was like, okay, I have to reach out to these people, and there was a very similar dynamic with the other clinic that he used to work with. I've been having the same kind of issues, the back and forth, this constant game of tag. But, his clinic seems to get back to you very, very quickly. So I was like, why don't you just reach out? Just send them a WhatsApp message and say, hey, what's the status of the blood work? I sent them a message, and immediately they sent me the blood work. And they sent me the blood work and gave me pricing like right away. So I was like, they had it. They already had the blood work ready and a pricing ready. They were ready. Why had they not sent this to me? So this is probably why. There were 2 sets of blood work. So one of them is basically like your standard blood work, like everything, your CBC plus cholesterol plus some hormone stuff plus thyroid, like the whole shebang. Basically all the stuff that I had already sent him. On top of like Lyme testing, genetic testing, things like that. That test was going to cost a little bit over $2,000. All of that stuff, a little bit over $2,000, which I thought was kind of dumb because he had said, none of this is going to help me, the stuff that I had sent him. And it was the same tests. Testing for B12, which my B12 levels are incredible because I supplement with B12. So that was kind of suspicious. I was like, why is he reordering all the same stuff? I even told him, I said, I have an upcoming blood test that's going to have a lot of that stuff on it, right? I just had my thyroid done this year. I just had my hormones, I paid $500 for them to do a hormone panel on me. Just had my ANA done within less than a year, right? It's probably been maybe 6 months, and also a complete tumor panel, which he did ask me, when he was going through my blood work, he's like, why do you have this? Like a tumor panel. And I'm thinking to myself, well, this is your specialty. You're a cancer doctor. You tell me why I have it. And I said, no, I'm just at higher risk of cancer according to my doctor. So I have to go every year, and get a tumor panel done. He didn't really say anything. He was kind of just like, why do you have that? Right. So the $2,000 was for all of this, very basic blood work, with a couple of little extras in there, like the Lyme disease test, which is not going to show anything. And then they also sent me a cancer test, which was another like $800. So you're looking at almost $3,000 worth of blood work. And the cancer test was what threw me completely, because I'm not going for cancer treatment. I know that's a specialty, but that's not what I'm going for. So I was totally like, oh my gosh, well, what is this for? So I asked them, and in my mind I was like, I know what they're trying to do. They're gonna find something on that test, and they're gonna say, oh, you need to have this other treatment, because you have circulating tumor cells or something. But I decided to ask, and so I sent them a message through WhatsApp, and I was like, hey, why did he send for a cancer test? And the lady was like, oh, the doctor needs to address that with you directly. So give me a second. A couple of hours pass, and this is where things began to go really, really sideways. I have no idea, and I'll tell you guys what I think happened, but suddenly, after 2 hours, and there were some other things going on, but in those 2 hours, my dog passed away a couple weeks ago as of filming this video, and I had gone to go pick up her ashes. So I'm already in a very like not good mind space, or not a good headspace. And during those 2 hours that I was waiting for her response, I went, picked up the ashes, came back home. And so she comes back and she's like, it's going to be about $160. She said something like, you owe us $160. At this point, I had started to communicate with them in Spanish, because I felt like it might be easier for them and they were more comfortable. And so I thought maybe I misread what she had put. I thought that maybe what she meant to say was, if you want to continue to talk to the doctors, to continue to consult with them, it's going to cost you $160 like per consultation, which I understand. I understand because they do an initial consultation, usually free of charge. And then after that, you pay. And I've that's happened to me with other clinics. And so I said, I'm sorry, like, what happened? And she goes, you owe us $166. It was like $166. She said, because you had the initial consultation. She says that cost is going to cover the cost of the initial consultation and any follow-up consultations you have with the doctors and any post-treatment consultations. She said, so you need to send us $166. And I was like, wait a second. I said, no one told me before or during the consult that it was $166. And she's like, well, like, I mean, there was a lot of back and forth. And she was like, well, we trust that our patients are going to pay us when we ask them to. I was so lost. So lost. And I said, wait a second. I said, you guys are supposed to charge before the consult. I said, that's usually how it works. You guys charge before the consult. I said, don't you think that's kind of like, I didn't tell her, don't you think that's kind of stupid? But I was like, that's usually how it goes, because how can you guarantee that you're ever going to get your money? She was like, so you're not going to pay us then? And I said, no, I'm not going to pay you. So you did not say that there was a charge for the consultation. And she's like, well, she kind of admitted like, yes, it was an error on our part or something to that effect. Meanwhile, right, like as soon as we were resolving the issue, I start getting another message from the clinic, another WhatsApp. It's another contact from their clinic. So I'm being messaged by this lady. Then I start getting messaged by another lady, and this lady's like, yes, I'm the one that's in charge of like billing and this and that. She's like, and it shows here that you owe us about $166 for the consult. And I'm like, I've already resolved this issue with someone else. And as I'm telling her that, the doctor, Dr. Yael, the younger doctor, starts messaging me. So I have 3 people from this clinic messaging me, and she goes, I heard that you were having that you had some question about the blood work. And I'm just like, I'm not going to message her. I can't have a discussion with her because I'm supposed to pay for this, right? I'm supposed to pay for it. And I said, I'm sorry, but we've already resolved the issue. We've resolved the issue, and I don't want to waste your time. I told that to the doctor. While the other 2 are messaging me and telling me, like, you owe us this money. You're supposed to pay this. And I'm just like, I already resolved this. And she said, who did you resolve this with? Who did you resolve this with? Because do you have a receipt for your payment? And keep in mind, they're hounding me over this. but I have not received an invoice. I have not received an email saying, pay this through PayPal or through whatever, because they always have some kind of, system to pay it. They didn't send me a link through WhatsApp to submit payment. I mean, it became such a circus. I was like, what is going on? So this is what I think was going on. I think that they saw, that the doctor just didn't want to take on my case. And this has happened to me here in the US, not this ridiculously, but it has happened where doctors will start to upcharge you for tests, or they'll put in the wrong codes so that when you get to the, to the blood place, they're like, your doctor didn't put in the specific code for this, so you're going to have to pay $200, $300 for the test. Doctors will do that, especially when you're dealing with like Lyme literate physicians, and alternative medicine practitioners. It's either out of pocket costs, or they do these little things. They play these little games to get you to go away, instead of saying, I don't want to take you on as a patient, or I don't think you're a good fit for this clinic. So, I was at the point of tears, because I had no idea why they were coming after me this way, when they had at no point mentioned before or during the consult that I had to pay for it. And obviously, if I had to pay for it, they would have charged me beforehand. This was a deliberate move, and I guess the doctor must have instructed them like, hey, just, I don't want her here or something. So, it was really upsetting, because I felt a lot of confidence in him. He behaved decently with me, but I'm pretty sure he was behind this whole situation. I did email the other doctor. I know she's not going to respond to my email, but I did send her an email, and I told her, I said, this is really uncalled for. Like, this type of behavior from your office was really inappropriate, and you have no idea how that hurts patients. Because I know that the doctors were behind it. I know that the doctors gave their staff specific instructions to do this to a patient. Instead of taking the patient on, in their clinic, it's like, okay, well, make this problem go away. So it did scare me a little bit, because now I feel less confidence in a lot of these treatments, whether it's plasmapheresis or 10-pass ozone or whatever else they offer there. And then, by the way, they never answered my question of why they ordered cancer testing. I think even they were just like, that was just filler testing. So that's my biggest suspicion, is that they just did not want to take me on as a patient. Either that, or they didn't feel that it was going to be lucrative enough. Alternative cancer treatments range from about $30,000 to up to $100,000. So the quote that I received from the other clinic was somewhere around like $8,000 to $9,000, and that was for a lot of different therapies. So I don't know if he kind of looked at my case and was like, we don't have the right kinds of therapies for her, or he was like, she doesn't have the money for this. He wants to treat cancer. He wants that 30,000, that 50,000, that 100,000. So I don't know if that's kind of what he was after, and also telling me like that none of that blood work was useless, and then ordering the exact same blood work. The other clinic did send me also blood requisition. It was going to cost me around $400 to $500. And he was ordering a lot of the same stuff. Obviously, he was ordering a lot of other stuff. That's probably why it was up to $2,000. But I do think it was a deliberate move on his part to sort of kind of make it more of a hassle so that I wouldn't go. I don't know why doctors do this. I don't know why doctors, and I have had doctors tell me in the past, you guys know that I had a consult with another clinic where the doctor said she needed to know more about my condition because she didn't feel comfortable enough moving forward with stem cell treatment, and she made the right call. That's kind of the proper way to do it. You just say, you know what, I don't feel comfortable, or I don't know if I can help you, and there's a good chance that maybe the treatments will fail or make you worse. Or you can just say, I don't feel confident enough, I don't know enough about your condition to move forward with treatment. So that was Alternative Medicine by Bars. Check out the reviews. I did write a review for them because I thought that it was horrible. They haven't responded to my review yet. I don't know if they'll ever find it, because they seem very technologically incompetent, but I was very, very disappointed because things went really well during the consult, and yeah. So this is a very long review, but I just want you guys to be prepared when you start looking for alternative clinics in other countries, because it's not a walk in the park. So thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you in the next one.